Number one, Ambassador Trigunyat is expressing optimism that there may be a Ramzan ceasefire deal. We know talks or negotiations have been on for several weeks now, but the ceasefire has so far remained elusive. Do you share the ambassador's optimism that there could be a Ramzan ceasefire deal coming through very soon? Number one. Number two, sir, it's been 5 months since the war erupted in Gaza. As the ambassador rightly pointed out, after the 7th October Hamas terror attacks on southern Israel, there was a lot of sympathy and support for Israel around the world, including here in India. And today, 5 months into the war, Israel's even closest and staunchest ally seems to be expressing its growing frustration with that country, with the way this war has gone on, with 30,000 people dead in Gaza, with Palestinians facing starvation, children dying from hunger and malnutrition. Do you really believe that Israel has achieved any of its stated objectives? And frankly, having lost most of the international support and sympathy that it enjoyed earlier on in this war, how much longer do you think Israel can continue to justify this carnage in Gaza?
Neha, good evening. Thank you for getting me to your show. Your question has got two parts. First part, how dare I say anything opposing the very senior ambassador, learned person, and is a wise man. And as regards the second question, I would say this conflict to me has got a different perspective. So allow me to give you or share the soldier's perspective later. But before that, firstly, the geopolitical tension, the circumstances under which this conflict broke out. What was the trigger? Did Israel attack first? No. The Hamas had attacked first. So have they been called as a terrorist in the United Nations, except for few Western countries? Have they been branded as terrorists? No. What is the status of the Hamas? So these are the questions which the highest apex organization, which is virtually defunct, doing nothing, not effective in any way, be it conflict management, conflict resolution, or humanitarian assistance or ceasefire. I don't think either in Ukraine or here or any other place in the world there is any living example worth the name of the United Nations. So under this backdrop, all I would say is that, in my opinion, there is a need to go in for ceasefire immediately. And Neha, you would agree with me that what is the primacy of human life, the hope? We can only hope and pray for an early ceasefire. But having said that, let me give you the soldier perspective in the first question. I do not visualize the conflict would be coming to a ceasefire. Why? Because the world order today and the humanity is being subjected to more than perceivable kind of stress. Started with pandemic, thereafter Russia-Ukraine war, supply chain disruption, price rise everywhere, recession has set in almost in all the leading economies, whether we accept or not. US has started looking up. Under this, the rise in price of fuel, food, and fertilizer is having a significant impact on the livelihood. So under these circumstances, I don't think there is any sanity or the rational sinking into the minds of the people who are responsible for the peace and harmony or rules-based international order at the highest level. One. Second, there are too many stakeholders who have been activated. Too many. Earlier it was one front. Today we hear about Hezbollah attacking, or the Israel, the Golan Brigade attack has failed twice, and Hezbollah has set course for a 2006 kind of offensive. And they're determined. Let's not underestimate whether Lebanon has got a government or not, but the Hezbollah, a very trained militia, they will give it back nice and properly. They have adequate number of arsenals, missiles, rockets, fully trained, and they gave a befitting reply to Israel in 2006. Perhaps the same phenomena is going to be repeated. Now come to the Houthis in the Red Sea area.
Right.
It's the 20 coalition countries who have put their resources together fighting against a non-state actor in 21st century. So had it been a state actor or a conventional force, perhaps some rule or regulation or some kind of a compromise could have been foreseeable. I do not see any kind of these things coming our way. And most important thing is the groups and the militias who are operating elsewhere, be it Iraq or Syria and elsewhere in the West Asia, are also highly active. Therefore, I do not see anybody coming to a compromising situation because the main stakeholders in the instant case are Iran and the elephant in the room are China. We are not taking cognizance of these two stakeholders. They are primary stakeholders, in my opinion.